Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Baking with NMC. My name is Samantha DeToy and I'm a registered dietitian, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about the recipe. Today we're going to be baking a low GI chocolate cake. Okay, so today we're going to be baking a low GI chocolate cake. GI stands for the glycemic index of foods, and basically what it means is the impact that foods have on our blood sugar. So different carbohydrate containing foods have a different rate of absorption and digestion in the gut, and they affect our blood sugar in different ways. The traditional chocolate cake we all enjoy has a very high sugar content, very high refined carbohydrate content, which has a high GI. And this is not ideal because it actually negatively impacts our insulin levels. So the purpose of today's cake is or the recipe is actually to lower its GI and thereby increasing the health benefits. So now that you know what the health benefits of this recipe are, let's hand over to Shiwa, who's going to show us how to put it all together.
Thank you, Samantha. Hi everyone, and welcome to this month's episode of Baking with NMC. I'm Shiwa, also known as Shiwa the Baker, and today we're going to be baking a low GI chocolate cake. Let me take you through the ingredients. The base of our cake is cake flour. So we're going to be using 1.5 cups of cake flour, 1 cup of caster sugar, 1 cup of high fiber protein cereal, 1 cup of digestive bran, 1/2 cup of oats, 1/2 cup of low-fat buttermilk, 5 large egg yolks, egg white from 5 large eggs, 1 cup of boiling hot water, 1/2 cup of cocoa, 30 milliliters of canola oil, 2 teaspoons of vanilla essence, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of low-fat milk, some fresh apples, which we're going to peel and grate. So these ingredients are for the actual cake that we're going to be baking. Now for the frosting, we're going to be using 2 cups of icing sugar, 250 grams of low-fat cottage cheese, and for some garnishing, we're going to use some fresh strawberries, fresh raspberries, some figs, and a bit of mint. Let's get baking. So before we get into the mixing process, the first thing we do before we start baking is to preheat our oven. We've already done that at 160 degrees, so we're going to jump straight into it. Let's get baking. To bake this cake, we're going to need some mixing bowls, a sieve, and a hand mixer. For the first part of our recipe, we're going to sift our cocoa. So we're going to sift our cocoa, and this is going to bring air to our cake. And we're just going to crush the excess cocoa on top. Okay. Then we're going to add our boiling water and our canola oil to the mix. And then on the lowest setting of your mixer, we're going to mix the ingredients together. So we're going to do this just until the ingredients have combined well, and then we're going to set it aside to cool. In the next step, we're going to mix together our dry ingredients. So we're going to sift our cake flour together with our whole wheat protein cereal, digestive bran, and oats. So we're going to sift that together. It's a lot of fiber. So once our flour has gotten through, we're going to just pour our oats and our digestive bran and our protein cereal into the bowl. So we're going to lift it a bit just to give it some air. Okay. And then we're going to add our salt and our rising agents, which are our baking soda and baking powder. And there we have it. Our dry ingredients have been combined. So in the next part of our baking process, we're going to mix our egg whites. But let me first create some space. Clean up as we go. So we're going to beat our egg whites to soft peak stage. So we have 4 egg whites. We're going to beat for at least 2 minutes. think we've got it. Yeah, perfect. We're then going to mix our egg yolk. We used 5 large eggs. And then we're going to add our sugar. So we're going to do this periodically, and then we're going to mix. Then we're going to add the last half of our sugar. It happens. Look at how creamy it is. Just going to decrease the speed of our mixer. Okay, perfect. Now that that's done, we're going to clean up a bit, and then we're going to grate our apples before we move on to the next step. Now that we've cleaned up a bit, we're going to peel and grate our apples and then add them to the rest of our mixture. I think that's enough apple. Grated and peeled. So in this recipe we used only a little bit of oil. The apple mixture allows us to use a reduced amount of oil in the cake, making it so much more healthier. Now remember the cocoa mixture that we had at the beginning? So it's cooled. What we're going to do now is we're going to add our grated apple together with our buttermilk, milk, vanilla essence to taste, and our mixture of egg and sugar together with this, and then we're going to combine it. We try to get all of it in there. Remember, we've washed our hands. Our apple. Milk. Buttermilk. And vanilla essence. So I'll just quickly wash my hands. And now we're going to mix. Take care not to overmix and mix just until the ingredients have combined together. Now that we have our wet ingredients and our dry ingredients ready, we're going to combine the two. Now remember, this isn't your traditional chocolate cake. We've added a lot of oat and bran and wheat into this recipe. So what is it that you like in your chocolate recipe? Tell us in the comments below. We're going to add our last part of our dry ingredients. Remember, you work on the lower setting of your mixture. Now that that's done, remember our egg whites from the beginning? We're going to fold them gently into this mixture. What folding does is it incorporates all the air into your mix. And this gives your cake a light and fluffy and airy feeling. This requires a little bit of arm muscle. And there we have it. Our batter for our low GI chocolate cake is ready, and we're going to pour it into our pans and then pop it into the oven. But first, let's clean up a bit. So we've prepared our tins by spraying them with a non-stick cooking spray so that our cake doesn't stick into our pans. So we're going to pour our batter into the pans evenly, pouring them halfway, and then the cake is going to rise. So half the batter in the first tin. And then we're just going to flatten it out before we put it in the oven. Okay. So our tins are ready, and let's pop them in the oven. So we're going to bake our cake for an hour. So while our cakes are in the oven, we're going to get started on our frosting. For this, we're going to use some icing sugar, some low-fat cottage cheese, some vanilla essence, and some salt to bring out the flavor. Then we're going to garnish the cake with some strawberries, raspberries, and some figs, and then a little mint to make it pretty. Let's get started. Some cottage cheese, low fat. Remember, this is a low GI cake, chocolate cake. And then we're going to add our icing sugar. So we're going to add the icing sugar in a bit at a time, just until we've got the consistency that we're looking for. Some salt to taste, and then some vanilla essence for the flavor. We're going to mix on the lower setting of our mixture. Still a bit runny, so we're going to add in a bit more icing sugar. Our last bit. I'm going to use my spatula for this. Just until it's combined. I'm going to crush the lumps. The lumps are a bit stubborn, so I'm going to go back to my hand mixer. Our cottage cheese frosting is ready to go. So we're going to take our cakes out of the oven, let them cool for a bit, and then we're going to ice them. Let's go. It's been an hour, our cakes are ready. Let's take them out of the oven. Look at that. So we're going to flip it out as gently as possible. This is why it's important to grease your pan. Nice. Let's close our oven. So our cakes are done. We're going to let them cool for a little bit before we frost them. While our cakes are cooling, we're going to dice up a bit of our fruit so that we can use it to garnish it. So we're going to dice up some strawberries, some raspberries, and some figs. You can use a variety of fruit. I wanted to add some blueberries for texture, but they were out of season. So we're just going to slice our strawberries in halves. Not all of them, just a few. We're going to do the same with our figs. Gently slice them in half. add one more. There we go. So now we're going to wait for our cakes to cool, and then we're going to frost them. So now that our cakes have cooled, we're going to decorate them. Create a bit of space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke little holes in this first layer, and then I'm going to brush over the first layer with a little bit of frosting. So the purpose of the holes is to create area for the frosting to seep into the cake. Okay. So we don't want too much frosting. I'm going to use a pastry brush to control the amount of frosting I pour over the cake. Okay. And I'm just going to brush over the cake. And as we're brushing, some of the frosting is seeping into the cake. It doesn't matter if we have a bit of spillage on the sides. It's good for aesthetics. Okay, then we're going to add our last layer. Gently, and then we're going to repeat the process with the frosting. Poke some holes into the cake. Okay, now we're going to add our last bit of frosting on top of the cake, still with a pastry brush. Brushing over it gently. Spreading it to the sides. Okay. And it's done. So now for the garnishing. So we're going to play with our fruit a bit. Some strawberries in the front. With a bit of raspberries. Figs. Remember, you can add as much fruit as you'd like, and you can also add different types of fruits. Not forgetting our mint. Just to fill up the cake a bit. And now to add a little more sparkle to it, we're going to add a sprinkle of edible glitter. Isn't she lovely? Wait, I've got one last surprise for you. In the spirit of celebrating our Independence Day, happy birthday, Namibia. Samantha, we're having ourselves a little tea party.
Oh wow, this looks incredible.
Let's have a taste.
Yay, I'm so excited. It's really chocolatey and very chewy, very high in fiber.
I can taste the bran.
Yes.
A hint of apple.
But the cottage cheese icing is really
really
what
good.
Rounds it all off.
Yeah.
I really like it. Well done.
Thank you. I had fun baking this cake. Please do try it out. Like all our pages, follow our socials, post, tag us, and until next time,
See you soon.
ciao.
Bye.